Hi, I'm Raymond Wright. I'm going to be your child's geometry teacher this year at St. George's. I'm looking forward to meeting everyone and having a great year. Before we start, I just want to talk about how the math courses at St. George's work. If are a freshman coming into St. George's, you actually take two math courses your freshman year. So those are normally either Algebra 1 and Geometry or Geometry and Algebra 2. So Geometry and Algebra 2 is kind of like the more advanced track. It's for students that have already taken Algebra 1. I would just recommend, so every student should have Algebra 1 already. But if your child didn't do great in Algebra 1, so if they got like C's or D's in Algebra 1, I would recommend them retaking Algebra 1 and then taking geometry in the spring, and just to give that really strong foundation that'll carry through the rest of high school, and they won't be behind because they take two math courses their freshman year anyways. If you do start in geometry, next semester you'll take Algebra 2, sophomore year you'll take pre-calc, and as you can see, the courses get really hard really quick. So that's just something to keep in mind before starting this year. So I'm going to talk about geometry a little bit. So a little bit about myself. This is my 18th year teaching, 9th year at St. George's. I have two little boys. They are 5 and the younger one's almost 3. In the past, I've helped coach a couple of sports, lacrosse and wrestling, and I am a Philadelphia sports fan. I enjoy watching the Eagles, the Phillies, the Sixers. So classroom supplies for geometry, you need a binder, pencils, paper, just like normal stuff. And then sometimes we will do activities on the computer where it makes it a lot easier if you have a stylus, so you can actually write on the computer screen. So that's something that would be really helpful for class. Classroom expectations: come to class on time. Make sure you are prepared, so you have a pencil, you have your Chromebook ready to go. There shouldn't be any eating in the classroom. Make sure you are respectful to your classmates, to myself, and to the classroom. And then school-wide and district-wide rule is there's no cell phones or headphones out during class. So I have a calculator holder on the wall. So when students come in, I'm going to want them to actually switch out their cell phone for a calculator every day. And then if their phones are up on the wall, they don't have to worry about touching them or being distracted by them during class. These are going to be the topics that we're going to cover in geometry, starting with parallel lines and kind of some basics of geometry and then going from there. So typical day in geometry, we're going to come in, do like a warm-up, see if there's any questions from the homework. We'll do an activating strategy for the new lesson. A lot of times we'll do an investigation-based activity, so they'll kind of come up with the rule or the the postulate or the theorem that we're kind of learning. So a lot of investigation-based activities. Then we'll do a new lesson, a summary, and independent practice or homework. Some of the teaching strategies I'll use throughout the course, try to do a lot of lessons are going to be investigation-based, so they're kind of coming up with the ideas on their own. We use collaborative groups. I'll have them sitting next to a partner, so they'll be collaborating with their partner throughout class. I like to get students up and moving around the room. So we'll do stations, and I try to do that at least once or twice a week. We also have standing whiteboards, so just another way to get the students standing up. If you're standing, you're more likely to be thinking or more engaged. And then we'll be using the computers as well for some different activities and resources on there that help supplement the material. The grading is broken down formative and summative. So formatives are 30% of your grade. That's going to be like your classwork and homework. And then summatives are going to be 70% of your grade. So there's going to be a quiz or a test every 3 to 4 lessons. About every week and a half, we'll have a test or a quiz. Pretty much every quiz or test, I do a review day the day before to make sure everyone's ready. So I create the quizzes, and then there's district created tests where all geometry students will take the district test. And then the final exam at the end of the course is 20% of the overall grade. I have a lot of resources on Schoology. So for every single lesson there's notes, there's going to be help videos I actually created the videos myself. So it's me talking students through a lesson. So if students are ever absent from class, or if they missed a portion of class, or if they just forgot, they can go on and watch these videos and pretty much figure out like what we missed and kind of like catch up. I've also created digital notebooks so they can go in to each unit, look at the digital notebook, see if there's any notes that'll help them. And then I add assignments through the Schoology calendar. So that way everyone's on the same page. It'll be in the Schoology calendar if we have like a graded assignment. If you ever need extra help, there's definitely extra help Thursdays after school in the library. So I'm sure that'll be starting soon. And then in previous years, we've also done morning extra help. So if we start that again, if the math department does that, I will let your students know. If you need to reach out to me, email is going to be the easiest way to get a hold of me. So just there's my email address. Feel free to contact me with any questions. Look forward to a great year and meeting all of your students.